Hey everybody, welcome back to the Aptitude Outdoors Podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. Today, I'm going over something that I've learned many times over, many hard lessons learned starting a ton of new hunting and fishing activities over the last few years. So I'm going to go through this process of how you can get into hunting and fishing cheaply, effectively, and quickly, because I've done a lot of things in the outdoors over the last 7 years, hunting and fishing wise, and I've learned a lot of very valuable lessons and spent a ton of money on stuff that I probably didn't need to. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned.
This is the Aptitude Outdoors Podcast, where we interview conservationists, hunters, anglers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the greatest stories, information, and advice from the best in the world.
So part of my journey in becoming the best well-rounded outdoorsman that I can be, whether that's with hunting, whether that's with fishing, whether that's with a camera, survival skills, whatever it is that I'm learning, there's a lot of mistakes I've made over the years and a lot of things that I wish I would have done differently. And I want to give you a good layout in how to get into new activities quickly, effectively, and to be successful quickly, because that's the important part. If you don't have success early on, you kind of feel like you're wasting your time and you're spinning your wheels. And there's a few things that I've learned, whether it's hunting or fishing or fly fishing or whatever that may be that you're trying to get into, it doesn't matter. The process is exactly the same. So the first thing I will do is I will find someone who does that I know, or I will find them on Instagram or something, and I will literally just start bugging the shit out of them until they take me hunting or fishing and whatever that new activity is. So I've went out with tons of people. They've let me borrow stuff to learn, and people are very willing most of the time. There's always going to be grouchy people who don't want to help, but most of the time people really want to teach you what they love, which is hunting and fishing, especially with, not a lot of people as interested in it as it used to be. I know there's a whole bunch of talk about there's too many people hunting and fishing, and now because of COVID and all this stuff, whatever. People are really interested to show you in hunting because, especially like me, I don't know that many people that hunt or fish around me. And the people that I do know are great friends of mine because we have that in common. So they're always willing to help. They always have way more crap than they need. They're going to let you borrow stuff. Just be courteous and, try and take care of the stuff they're letting you borrow. If you break something, replace it. Most of the time, they're going to be like, don't worry about it. It's old junk, whatever. But just be courteous to these people. Borrow stuff from them. And if you find out that you like, say, squirrel hunting, you've never squirrel hunted before, you don't own a rifle or a shotgun, go get yourself one. They sell used guns. They have used equipment for that, everything for that. Any sort of outdoor activity, you can always find used stuff. Just get whatever works for you. I mean, for the example of squirrel hunting, you can get any shotgun is going to work, essentially. And then, it's really intimidating to start. I hunt squirrel with a shotgun. I use a 410. Sometimes I use a 12 gauge. Sometimes I use my 22 rifle. It just depends on the day and what I feel like using or practicing with or playing with. And I've been lucky enough to acquire all that stuff handed down. Still haven't bought a gun since I started hunting. I just have this old guns that my dad gave me, and friends showed me how to use them. Had no idea how to use them before I got into this. Had a friend, Chad, who's been on the podcast, help me sight the stuff in. I mean, everything from the ground up, and hunting squirrels and stuff is a great solo activity because it's really accessible if there's any public land or family land. It's just a great opportunity to get out and learn to hunt. It's really accessible and easy and at very low cost. Ammunition's cheap for that kind of stuff. You don't essentially need anything. But then, have people help you get used cheap equipment to start out with. And, if it ends up sitting in a closet for 10 years, you hunted two times with it, sits in the closet while you're out, whatever the cost of a used gun is, and you didn't go buy a $3,000 Benelli to hunt for your first time. If you got the money, more power to you, go for it. But across the board, I'm doing a lot of stuff all the time. I'm hunting and fishing in every aspect of all of those fields: bow hunting, gun hunting, small game, big game, traditional fishing, fly fishing. Gets expensive real quick. So Amazon, I know, has a lot of used equipment. I bought a ton of used equipment off of Amazon, even like especially stuff like bags, like hunting backpacks, chest packs for fly fishing, vests for hunting, like small game vests and stuff. Get all that stuff used and just beat the piss out of it until you need something better, or maybe you find out that that pack just doesn't work for you after a couple of seasons. Then you know what you're looking for. So also a thing that I've spent a lot of time doing is Amazon has tons of gear for beginners, whether it's any activity, hunting related. Obviously, they're not selling weapons, but you can get most of your stuff. I mean, gloves, hats, camo, fly rods, flies, stuff that you're just gonna break or mess up early on, and you're still in that intermediate stage where you've been hunting a little bit or fishing a little bit. You kind of don't know if you're really into it or not, so you don't want to spend a ton on a bunch of expensive equipment. You don't want to go buy a $100 hook fishing shirt because you just don't know if you're that into it. So it's a good place to start with affordable brands and just stuff to kind of get you into it. And it's so funny because you have all these notions about, oh, if I go to this place and fish or hunt, all these people are going to have all this fancy gear and I'm going to look like a noob in this cheap Amazon stuff. Everyone has that same stuff. They're all buying the same crap off of Amazon. I've been out a million times, whether it was fly fishing, hunting, archery hunting. Everybody's got weird off-brand shit because everybody's trying to save money because it can be really expensive, especially if you're into a wide array of stuff. So, I've got plenty of stuff off of Amazon. Not afraid to admit it. I know a lot of people hate Amazon, but if you're trying to get into something and you're looking for cheaper, more affordable stuff, there's plenty of options out there, especially I've learned with fly fishing. I bought plenty of flies off of Amazon in the $25 box. They send it to you. It's packed full of flies. They all suck and fall apart, but I've lost most of those flies. I think it was a box of 50 flies. I probably have less than half of them left because I've snagged them in trees trying to learn. I've broken them off on rocks. I've gotten them stuck in the bushes. Anything and anything that can happen. Fish have snapped them off. Learning process. I don't want to waste $4 a fly from my local fly shop, high quality, super great flies, until I'm comfortable casting the rod to begin with. So start out basic, start small.
Hey, what's up everyone? James Appleton here, co-founder of Absolute Aid. Welcome to the Seek to Do More program. This program will help you help yourself by developing the daily habits that will elevate your entire life. Over the next 30 days, you'll complete the doers list every single day. And the doers list includes 1, do something physical. 2, follow and stick to your diet of choice. 3, read a real book. 4, further your education on purpose. 5, dedicate time to your spiritual life. And 6, dedicate time to your hobbies. So if you're ready to take a structured, proven approach to build the daily habits that will allow you to get the most out of yourself, your time, and your life every single day, the Seek to Do More program is your blueprint. So make a choice, commit to yourself, sign up below, and let's get started.
When I first went hunting, I had nothing. I had a gun, I had some ammo, I went and bought some Walmart camo to wear over the clothing I already had, and I didn't have a backpack, I didn't have nothing. I just went out there with a water bottle in my pocket and froze, and it was brutal, but I fell in love with hunting. And, you really don't need that much. You get a license and a gun, a license and a fly rod, a couple of flies, a license and a Walmart rod that you bought for $50, and a couple of crankbaits or a starter box kit with some soft plastics. Whatever it is, you can get out there and enjoy it for a while and learn before you really find out if you're diving in head first, really something you want to know. And especially for deer hunting, you don't need to start out with a tree stand. You don't need to start out with this fancy hunting blind. You can build a blind in the woods. I've done that with stuff laying around where I sat behind it. I have permanent blinds I've built out in my family's property. I have a pop-up blind. I never use it. Someone gave it to me, again, borrowing equipment. Someone said, I don't ever use this. You can just have it. Now I don't use it. It's just sitting in the garage. And you just can start really small. The first deer I ever killed, I was sitting on a stump in the woods leaning up against a tree. No blind, no nothing. Successful still. I mean, trust me, there's plenty of scenarios where that's not going to work. But I mean, you can start out super small, again, to see if you even like it. And with fly fishing, I started with a $250 fly fishing combo, which used a friend in the industry to help me with a discount. Got it for half price. Not going to tell you who it is, but stuff like that. Use the people around you. People want to help you get started with this stuff. It benefits them, and they're going to make money selling stuff to you. It benefits everyone all the way around. It benefits conservation. People want you to help you get started. So definitely don't think about that. I mean, I've been fishing with a $35 or $75 ugly stick combo for years, and I still one of my favorite rods. I absolutely love it. It's just a good, affordable rod, set up, ready to go. I use it a ton for fishing soft plastics because it's still super sensitive and it works great for big, small, whatever fish. It just holds up well. I'll put it up against any of my nicer rods, and you evolve with time. You evolve with what, like, certain tools that you need and you discover over time. Or if you get really obsessed, you start going down to the nitty gritty of, does this color matter? Does this size matter? And does this stuff in fishing matter? Or, does this camo pattern really matter? You go down these rabbit holes and you start going into tuning arrows and different shot types and shotguns, tungsten, bismuth, steel. How does it make you a better shot? This and that. You just start going down these rabbit holes if you get that interested in it. But to start, you don't need to worry about any of that. You need to just go hunt or fish. Go out there. Do it. Get in the weeds. Get dirty. Screw up. Mess up a shot, miss tons of fish. It's the only way you're going to get better. It's the only way I've gotten better. It's the only way all the professionals I've ever talked to in these industries have gotten better, is that you just got to put in time in the field. And to me, one of the most important things to do is do your background research. Every fish species that I want to try and catch, I buy a book, I read the book, I take notes, I learn when, where, how, why, what habitat they're going to be in, what food sources they have that are looking for. I do that for deer, I do that for squirrel, I do that for ducks, I do that for fish-specific species. I just finished this whole summer reading books about smallmouth, largemouth, pike, panfish. I'm reading a book right now on trout. Trout in Their Food by Dave Whitlock, because I'm going to Colorado to go fly fishing. I'm doing some film work out there for a good friend of mine, and we're going to go fishing. So I don't know anything about trout. I'm weird. I started in Northwest Ohio where we don't have any trout. I'm starting on bass and smallmouth and anything that'll bite, bluegill. I put in my hours on those fish because that's what's around me. And I read and read and read about them. And there's something to be said for putting in the time in the field, but it doesn't hurt to give yourself a little bit of a background about what these animals do. I've been infinitely more successful than just going out there and trying to figure it out on my own. It's frustrating. Fish, especially, they have certain patterns that they do at certain times of the year, whether they're spawning, whether they're, going into deep water during summer, whatever it is that the fish do. It doesn't hurt to know that, because then you're going to adapt your fishing method to what the animal is doing, which is going to set you up for way more success. So I say this all the time to my friends too, like, I read a lot, but I don't really enjoy it. It's like always feels like an uphill climb. It's just a matter of sitting down, carving out that half hour to read a chapter or whatever, taking a few notes for stuff that you want to remember, and just using that knowledge, putting it somewhere where you're going to use it. Go out and use it right after you read about it, whatever. Whenever you can get that little, even 15, 20 minutes, read half a chapter, whatever until you can't focus anymore. That's what I do. And I've gotten through tons and tons of books that way. Fish books aren't that exciting. They're kind of boring most of the time. It's literally just facts about fish. But I want to be a damn good fisherman, so that's what I do. I want to be a damn good deer hunter, so I'm out there reading books about deer while I'm out there hunting deer in the deer stand, trying to figure it all out. It's a big, ever-evolving puzzle. So don't forget about that. You don't have to be the world's best reader. You can get audiobooks, whatever is easiest for you to obtain that information. Just use that. You're going to skip years ahead of just gritting it out and trying to figure it out on your own by understanding the different types of baits, what they're for, what a spinner bait's for, what a chatterbait's for, when to use soft plastics, when to use jigs. You know, all these have a purpose. They're just, besides selling you shit, why certain rods matter, why certain shotgun types matter, why certain rifles matter, what these different scopes mean. All this stuff you can learn relatively quickly after reading a few books. So don't underestimate that. I'm telling you, it can be super boring, but it's gonna save you so much time and you're gonna get good really fast. It's like a cheat code to skip ahead. People already have figured this shit out for hundreds of years. Don't try and think you need to figure it out on your own from scratch, brand new. There's so many resources out there. YouTube, whatever. Also, I talk a lot about you don't need fancy stuff. You don't. I've said it. I'll never stop saying it. I have a $50 fly rod and I have a $600 fly rod. There's just a big range of what you need. And I'm mostly fishing with my combo that I've got on day one because I'm just comfortable with it. I know that rod really well. It's affordable, so I'm not afraid to take it with me and beat it up. But now that I've been down these rabbit holes, like I understand what I need, what I don't need in certain spots. Like my first 2 hunting seasons, I had just regular camo boots. They weren't insulated. They didn't help me with staying warm at all. I'm up here in the Midwest. It gets really cold. So I'm sitting out there in 12-degree weather with uninsulated boots. Learned a lesson real quick. I went out and spent $250 on a pair of heavy insulated waterproof boots that suit my needs for where I live. The first pair of boots I bought was probably $60. Found out where I needed to spend that money real quick. Same to be said with fly fishing. I found out where I needed to spend the money. It wasn't on the fly rod. Most of my fly rods are combos. I got a 3-weight, I got a 5-weight, I got a 8-weight, have a 9-weight coming, and pretty much they're all cheap combos that I bought. I kind of learned this from my perspective, take it how you want. People get mad about this shit all the time. Whatever. My perspective is the rod doesn't have to be the best rod in the world. You don't have to buy a $300 blank or whatever. It does help when you're at a higher level of skill and whatever. Like I said, my friend Scooby sent me a custom rod. Super high, awesome, top quality. I can cast that better than any other rod. Do you need that? No. I'm catching bass and bluegill most of the time. Don't need the most accurate, insane, beautiful, custom crafted rod. Do I recommend getting one? If you got the money, you can call him right now. The commercial's in this podcast somewhere. He'll make you a custom rod, and it's totally worth it.
Wake up early before the sun comes up. Then you drink a little coffee, fire the gator tail up, then you hit it on out where no man goes. Gator tail flying and
But I just was out down in Alabama fishing a $200 combo from Redington, saltwater setup deal with a plastic reel. Caught a ton of fish, had a bunch of fun. So it just depends on where you find you need to spend the money. I've found that the fly line is where I need to spend the money because the cheap shit that you get off Amazon for $8, I can cast 8, 10, 15 feet, and the $120 stuff that's meant with a very specific purpose, like a big shooting head for launching at bass with giant streamers on it. That $120 line was worth it because I can shoot that forever. I could go buy a cheap rod combo, peel that crap off there, put nice line on it, and do a lot better. So it's just finding out what's important. I still don't have nice, fancy, cool Sims waders or whatever. I still have the cheap whatever day sale they had on Amazon. I got them for like $60. They work fine. Until they get holes in them, that's what I'm going to be using. I'm not concerned about that stuff. You know, I like to think of myself as pretty tough, but like with my hunting boots, back to that, feet were freezing, was miserable. I invested in good hunting boots. I invested in good underlayers, really nice base layers, you know, the thickest, fuzziest shit they sell at Bass Pro at the time. That's what I got. The outer camo, it's just a jacket and pants. I mean, it's camo. It doesn't really matter. Probably don't even need camo. But that's the stuff I spend my money on. And you just got to figure that out for yourself. It's different for everyone. Some people I know don't wear insulated boots and their feet are totally fine. They're freaks. I don't understand it. With duck hunting, you know, it's the same thing. I'm going to get new waders this year because the waders I had suck and I was freezing. I couldn't feel my feet. That's where I'm going to spend my money. Still going to use the same shotgun I've had. Killed plenty of birds with it. No problems. Right, sitting there right next to my friends who had really nice shotguns. Nothing against nice shotguns. I just want to be comfortable, and I'll practice with my gun enough to the point where I'm accurate enough. So upgrade when you need to. Don't have to go all out right up front. Just over time, figure out what needs to change, and what, as you progressing it better, you're going to figure out what you need to buy that's nicer and what you can get by with, whatever, or it doesn't matter to you. You know, fly line backing. I normally am not catching the giant species of fish around me that I would need insanely giant fly line backing that's super dependable, whatever. Like if a bass is pulling me down to the backing and all the way down to the spool, that's a big bass, and maybe I'll change my tune. But until that day, doesn't matter to me at this point. And lastly, and most importantly of all the things, skill. Can never reiterate this enough. Skill. Understanding animal habitat, reading about animals, understanding where they live. Again, back to reading, watching videos, going out and observing animals, practicing what you're doing. Practice with your gun, practice with your bow, practice with your fly rod, practice with your bait caster, practice with your spinning rod. The more accurate you're going to get, the better you're going to be successfully in targeting whatever species you're at. It's a pain in the ass. Seems like all my free time is spent practicing fly casting, practicing with my bait caster. That thing has pissed me off more times than any fly rod ever has. You know, accurately casting to targets, shooting my bow. It's enjoyable, but it's still like a pain in the ass. You got to constantly practice. Shotgun, you know, shooting, trap, skeet, whatever. When the opportunity arises, it's just staying up on all that stuff all the time and just being the best you can. For when the situation arises, you want it to be like second nature. You want to be able to make that shot as accurately as possible without thinking, and you don't get that without practice. There's just no cheat code to it. You got to put in a shitload of time, a shitload of reps, and that's it. So I hope that's a quick and easy process to get you into something quickly and effectively. Essentially, to reiterate, you're going to go with a friend, borrow stuff, get cheap stuff to get you out the door, get going. That's the most important part, is just getting out there and then upgrading as needed. Make sure you're doing your background homework and practicing, and you're going to be out there slaying it in no time. This worked for me. This is time tested and proven by me, by my own stupid mistakes and decisions. So go out there, don't be afraid. You're gonna screw up, you're gonna do stuff that's stupid. Just make sure you're doing it legally, make sure you're having fun, make sure you're learning something. So I hope you guys appreciate this episode. I appreciate you listening to the Aptitude Outdoors Podcast, and I'll be back soon with another episode. Hey, thanks for listening to the Aptitude Outdoors Podcast. If you're getting anything out of this, if you're learning something, if it's helped you in any way, go down in the link below and buy me a coffee. Throw me $1, throw me $2. We greatly appreciate it. Just using it to keep this ship afloat. So thank you very much.